Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American brews and tunes. Shibbity beeby dow.
For American brews and tunes. Woohoo is right. My name is Steven Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
And we're back from sabbatical.
Whoa, we did. We were on vacation. Well,
Yeah.
not really, but...
Kind of. I was in Arizona.
Yeah, you were on vacation for a while.
I almost fell into the Grand Canyon.
Don't they have, like, from when I was there, they had, mind you, this is when I was in, like, 7th grade, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They had, like, you know, blocking off the side of the cliff.
Nope. We could walk straight up.
Straight up?
Straight up to the edge of the cliff.
Really?
There was people with their feet dangling off, and we were like, oh, dear Lord, those people are going to kill themselves.
It must not have been... I remember some barricades.
No.
Really?
Nope.
Wow.
I mean, there might be certain stretches with barricades.
I'm pretty sure I remember barricades.
I mean, like, the Grand Canyon is like hundreds of miles long, I think.
Yeah.
I was in the national park.
There were probably, like, signs, though, being like, be careful.
I mean, there were signs and stuff, yeah. But there was nothing.
I suppose it would be kind of ridiculous to build even just a railing.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't drive a vehicle up there.
Yeah.
Well, not easily, at least. But, yeah, you could just go up and dangle off it if you wanted.
I guess they're just trusting people to not kill themselves.
And it happens. We looked it up. It
Really?
happens every year, yeah. People fall off, taking pictures or, like, dangling their feet. And apparently what happens is, like, when you're dangling your feet and you, like, go to stand up
to get up,
you accidentally forward.
push yourself forward a little bit.
So what you're supposed to do is like slide your butt backwards, pull your legs up while sliding your butt, and get all the way back, and then stand up.
See, what I would do is I would slide my butt backwards, continue to slide until I was like 10 feet away from the Grand Canyon.
What I would do is just not dangle my feet.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I got close enough where I could kind of see.
You could like kind of peer over a little bit.
But I didn't get close enough where I would like trip and fall. I was a little nervous.
Dude, it'd be scary.
Yeah.
I remember it being scary. I remember it being awe-inspiring, too.
It was. If there was ever anything that was worthy of the word awesome, that was one of them.
Definitely.
Anyways, we're back from vacation to record episode 84.
84?
It's a regular episode. Wow. That means that Jesse's reviewing an album that I recommended for him, and I'm reviewing one that he recommended for me.
Yes. And since it's been so long, and if you decided not to look at the title of this album, podcast episode. I'm reviewing the album City of Evil by the band Avenged Sevenfold.
And I'm reviewing the album Loveless by My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah. Two very different styles of music.
Yeah, I'd say so.
They're
kind of related in one way,
though. Like a decade
though.
apart, right?
Yes, at least.
At least a decade apart. Popularity.
Decade and a half, probably.
Decade and a half, okay. Because My Bloody Valentine was like early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah.
And Avenged Sevenfold was like early 2000s.
Yeah, early to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway. quick side note, if my voice sounds a little weird to yins, it's because I'm just getting over a big old cold.
Yep. The annual fall cold.
Yeah, I think it was pushed forward because it was rigid cold at night times in Arizona, and it was so dry in the elevation. Heat. I think a combination of all of those three things got to me. It was like my lips were chapped instantly. It was so dry. I was getting dry skin. Crazy. It was crazy.
It's that same way in Mexico.
It's weird.
If you're in the shade, it's like,
breathe.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I brought one sweatshirt. That was it.
Really?
Yeah. I did not dress appropriately.
Probably needed it for the nighttime.
Oh, I used it, but I probably should have brought a jacket too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I'm back.
Did you go to that one spot where I think it's on the Grand Canyon where all four tips of the state meet?
No, I kind of wish it's Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, and
Colorado.
So yeah, Colorado. It could be. I don't know. I know the Colorado River is what's in the Grand Canyon.
New Mexico, Utah, Colorado. Yeah, Colorado. Yep.
Whereas the dyslexic people would say Corralado.
Corralado.
Yeah, I just think that's funny to say. Anyways, before we get to that music, let's talk about our beers, shall we?
Yeah, let's.
We're both trying something new today, as
always.
Every single episode, usually.
Yeah, we don't usually have repeats, or we actually never have repeats.
I'm trying one that's pretty old.
Yeah, how long have you been aging? Well,
I've
say what it is first.
I've been
say what it is first.
Saving this at cellar temp for 4 years.
4 years.
Not in the fridge. This has been at official cellar temp. It's the Dogfish Head Immort Ale.
I don't even remember that coming out. So
me neither. But it's a little play on a little wordplay. It's like immortal
ale.
Immort Ale. It says
Very
here,
clever.
it is super clever. It is a strong ale, an American strong ale. So it could be like a barley wine.
Barley wine.
Those
type,
they're kind of like similar styles.
Strong ale is what did you say on a previous podcast? Strong ale is really just a catch-all term for strong ales.
Yeah, ales that are super strong. Here's the description of this. It says made with maple syrup or syrup, depending on how you pronounce it.
Syrup.
Peat smoked barley, or barley if you pronounce it that way. Juniper berries and vanilla.
Or juniper if you pronounce it that way.
I saw juniper berries in Arizona.
Really?
The berries were like really...
Aren't they like blue?
Yeah, they're really like kind of like a pale blue almost. And they were really dense. Like you could chuck them at the cement and they would stay intact. If you put your fingernail in them, you could kind of puncture it, but they were really hard.
Did you smell one?
It was hard to smell them. I tried.
Did you puncture it and smell it?
Yeah, and it was...
Did you
well,
taste
then you
it?
could smell it. I didn't taste it because I didn't know like how you could taste it. Because that's what they use to flavor gin.
Yeah, yep.
And other assorted botanicals. But
lemon peel and whatnot.
But anyways, back to this. Then fermented with a blend of English and Belgian yeasts and aged in oak tanks.
Very curious.
So you're having a big beer too, I guess, right?
Big in the idea behind it. Dare, risk, dream, Steve. It's a Rogue beer.
Oh,
if you know Rogue, that is their slogan.
They take an idea for a beer and they go rogue.
Yeah. This is their Honey Kolsch, and it's got a couple bees on the front.
I imagine it's because of the K and killer bees, K and Kolsch.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
The bees.
But on the can it says, dedicated to bees. Situated just across from 40 acres of Rogue hops, 119 colonies of bees were carefully kept and fed, and the honey was uncapped, extracted, filtered, and finally infused into a refreshing Kolsch-style ale. So,
Uncapped from the combs? Is that what that means probably?
I guess so, yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway, I'm guessing that this beer is probably going to be a really nice, light, sweet...
Crisp and light.
Yeah, I'm hoping
that sweet from the honey.
I'm hoping the honey is not too overpowering.
It could be dangerous with that because Kolsch's are light. It's a lager style beer from Cologne, Germany.
From Cologne, yeah,
or Cologne as the Americans say it.
Yeah,
it's a light, crisp lager. Usually has a little bit of a sweetness to it and a little dryness to it. So the honey might come through a lot. Depends how much they used.
Yep.
Why don't we open our beers and pour them and see?
Sounds like a plan.
Jesse has a can this week.
Ooh,
I have a bottle. When I opened mine, it wasn't much of a tss.
No, it was like...
Yeah, probably because I've been aging it for 4 years. I forgot about this beer. It
That's
was
so
not
funny.
It was not immortal in my mind.
No. It was like one of those past memories that you just kind of remember sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to... That just made me remember something. This morning, I had a dream.
I dreamed a dream.
A time went by. No, I had a dream. And it was like a dream that it's like one of those dreams that people normally have that's supposed to mean something, you know?
Yeah.
In the dream, all of my teeth fell out.
I think that's a common dream.
Yeah, it was real. It was.
Did you look it up?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like something like stressful, like you're in some sort of stress.
Because I have heard that one in particular is a common dream.
Yeah, it was super weird though, because it felt really real. Like I dreamt that I was like in my bed and I woke up, and then I like started to kind of like yawn, like, oh, and then like I would like started to chew a little bit.
Oh no!
And then all of a sudden like I was able to like push my teeth like back and forth, and I was like, what the heck? And then it was funny too because I was just like just like spit out all my teeth in my hand. It was super weird.
These aren't sunflower seeds.
Yeah, it was super weird.
That is weird.
But who knows what dreams actually mean?
I don't know. They could mean something. They could mean nothing.
It was interesting to say the least, though.
My beer smells very malty, like barley smelling.
Okay.
It could be that I have a cold that I'm not smelling it properly, but that's what I'm getting right now.
Okay.
And it is very difficult to see through.
It looks like there's a lot of sediment.
Yeah,
in there.
the sediment is really suspended. You can see it's not like sinking, it's just like sitting right in the middle all over the place.
You should let me try that first.
I will, so you can get a little taste ski.
Mine smells very crisp and very refreshing.
Here, get a sniff of mine and try it before. I won't try yours because I don't want to get you sick.
Okay.
I've had that one before also. It's a good one.
Ooh.
You get what
You
I'm
can kind of
smelling?
smell the oak.
Yeah, that and a little bit of a barley smell.
Yeah, it
Real
smells
malty.
very, very grainy.
Yes, grainy is a good word. Do you get any vanilla or maple on the nose? Because that's how they describe it.
Maybe a little bit of both kind of mixed together, though. It's almost like you get that oaky afterbirth.
Oh, gosh.
The oakiness or woodiness first, and the barley's and the grains first. And then on the tail end, you kind of get like a little sniff of sweetness.
A little sniff-ski potato.
Sure. But anyway, I'm going to try this real quick, and then we'll do a cheers. And then I'll save what I think of it until after you try
All right. Yeah, don't tell me until I try it, too. All right, and then he's passing it back to me. And describe what your beer looks like and smells like, because I've talked about mine already.
All right, yeah. Mine has a really nice hay golden color and a very, very, very light head on the top.
It's almost
a small head, too.
It's almost got a darker hue than I might expect from a Kolsch. Maybe,
Yeah,
or maybe it's pretty... maybe spot on.
I think it's fairly similar.
Yeah, if you saw this, you'd think it could be anywhere from a light IPA to a lager, just because of the color.
And there is no sediment.
No, it's clear.
Obviously. And there are quite a few bubbles.
Yes.
It's very sparkly.
We say we give this a cheers and give them a try.
Let's do that.
As we always say on American Brews and Tunes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
As we always say on American Brews and Tunes.
No.
Steve had to hit the low note because he can't hit the high notes.
Yeah, my falsetto is deadzo. Down the hatch. Wow.
Yeah.
A lot more flavors than the smell lets on.
Yes. I would agree with that.
Immediately, it's definitely oaky. Like I get a lot of oak flavor in there, which is real nice.
It's really dense.
Yes, it's very dense.
The flavor kind of like comes at you like in the anvil from the Acme cartoons.
And perhaps that's because the sediment's everywhere. So every sip you take, you're getting that nice little bit of sediment.
Could be.
It's got that sweetness in there. I think I'm tasting a little bit of the maple and vanilla. Like I think what you said mixed together
With on the nose, what I said about the nose.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's really quite nice. The
It's
alcohol
not bad at all.
is masked because I think it clocks in at
Definitely.
11%.
Yeah, it is definitely way more mild than I'm guessing it would be if you were to have drank that in 2015.
Yeah, very good. I'm glad I aged this.
It was very, very good. Yeah.
I think I have no comparison, but I'm happy with it. So I'm glad I aged it.
I agree. I think it tastes pretty good. My beer is not too sweet.
No,
which is very nice. It's perfect.
Are you getting any honey?
A little bit, yeah. A very little bit. And there are almost some kind of like little floral notes. Like I don't know if that could come from the honey.
It could.
It probably might.
Honey's come from flowers.
Maybe. Well, they come from combs.
Yeah, but the bees get the pollen from the flowers. So is it a bee byproduct or a plant byproduct?
Yeah, you be the judge, science.
You be the judge. Vegans don't eat honey.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
It's crazy.
It makes sense. It's the same reason they don't have gelatin, I mean.
Yeah.
Because it's made out of horse hooves. Something like that.
Connective tissues.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
It's
also the same reason that they do not eat burgers from cows.
True.
Because it's an animal product.
They're also not supposed to wear leather.
True.
If you're a true vegan.
I think they're also... what is it? Like what clothing? Some clothing has some... animal product in it that's not just leather though.
There's all kind of things. I don't know what else.
But anyway,
could be anything from dyes to materials. Who knows?
Enough about vegans.
Yeah. Anything else to say about your beer?
Honestly, it's solid.
Yeah, it's a good crushable beer.
Well balanced. A nice subtle sweetness, and it has that classic like Kolsch slight dryness, and at the end of the mouthfeel, it's really nice.
Yeah, I remember enjoying that one when I had that a long, long time ago, probably in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and review your album first?
Yeah, I'll start it off. So again, I'm talking about or reviewing "City of Evil" by the band Avenged Sevenfold. My history with this band is that I do not have a history with this band. I have never listened to Avenged Sevenfold before you recommended this to me. Well, actually, that's a lie.
I think you've heard one or two songs.
I've heard of them.
You maybe heard them while they were on, but you've never listened to them.
Yeah. And one of my buddies who I, back in Minnesota, he has been trying to get me to listen to Avenged Sevenfold for a while. And then you recommended it to me. So I was like, well, now I have to.
Yep.
So anyway, this is Avenged Sevenfold's third studio album, released June 6, 2005. This album was kind of their breakthrough album.
Yes,
in terms of mainstream popularity. It debuted at number 30 on Billboard 200 chart. It's pretty good.
My guess is it probably. I think it grew big time as it after it was released too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I didn't know about it when it was released. At least
it also is on many lists that say things like albums you have to listen to before you die, or top 50 metal albums of all time, or whatever else. It's on many lists, and a lot of work went into this album.
Yeah.
The albums before, I guess, were not as well produced or not as well thought out, or
they weren't as polished.
A little bit disjointed, almost.
Yeah, I agree. Big change stylistically too. Lots of screaming in the previous albums.
Yeah, a lot of screaming in the previous albums. The singer M Shadow definitely did something different on this album. He actually worked with vocal coach Ron Anderson. Who had previously worked with singers like Axl Rose and Chris Cornell. So a pretty prestigious guy. Worked with a lot of bands. And basically his goal for this album was to get a much more gritty voice while maintaining a clear tone.
Yeah.
And like a clear timbre, Mm-hmm. So it was like the words weren't muddled or anything like that, so you could understand fairly clearly what he was singing.
Because you didn't know it all in the first couple albums.
Yeah, or in most metal albums, or most heavier albums.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just say a few things about the album and about my journey listening to it before going into the tracks.
Yeah.
That sound good?
Yeah, little background.
Little background to the schmackground. You know what I'm saying?
How about a little background on the Smackdown?
Well, this band definitely smacks down.
They smack something. Also, a lot of like true metal heads sometimes point their nose up at Avenged Sevenfold, especially after this album.
Because they like went more produced or something.
Yeah,
like
more
that.
Mainstream and whatever. But you know what I say to them? Calm down. That's what I say.
I think one of the songs in this album is about that.
Probably.
But anyway, so from what I had listened to before listening to this album, I really did not like Avenged Sevenfold at all.
I think the only song you knew was Nightmare.
Yeah, they're a very dramatic band.
Yes.
In terms of their melodic choices, the style of singing, the arrangements of the songs. I mean, in this album, we'll get to it later, but there's essentially like a little mini musical.
Yeah, and it almost like a lot of them could be musicals in general. A lot of the songs.
Yeah, but like this one is actually like based like there's like a story that follows all the way through, and it has like a musical theme. And
if you heard the next album, weird. There's a couple ones that do that too.
Really.
Multiple songs, yeah.
So anyway, I was for better or for worse, probably for worse, I was not very open at the beginning of listening to this album.
Yeah.
But as time went on, which I have learned normally happens with these albums, after about like 25 to 30 listens, I started to understand why people like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of listens. You really got to force yourself.
I definitely had to force myself to listen to it because I would get turned off by the way he was singing, like the timbre of his voice, because it's very like
nasally and kind of, I don't want to say whiny, but
like he does like a lot of weird vowels things, that he does. But I eventually got over that. So anyway, suffice to say, now I understand why people like it, and I don't mind it myself.
You just don't hate it like you did
I just
before.
don't hate it.
Still not your cup of tea, though?
It's still not my cup of tea, but I can definitely appreciate it.
All right.
It's pretty good. So anyway, on to track number 1. It's called Beast and the Harlot.
Good intro, especially with that weird little...
Yeah, a very good first track to the album. They come in with the huge chugging guitar chords and the fast drums and the arpeggiated guitar lines that are distorted to crap.
Yeah.
So it definitely showcases what the whole album is going to sound like, because this album does have a very consistent sound to it.
Agreed.
Very,
Agreed,
very consistent, very well done, like well produced. So from what I can tell, this is kind of like an anti-religious song.
Could be.
Because they reference Romans 13:1. You know that whole bit in Revelation in that apocalyptic literature where he talks about the 10-headed beast and the woman riding on the beast. You remember that part of Revelation?
I mean, I don't remember that one specifically, but I know there's a lot of imagery like that, so it doesn't surprise me.
But they're definitely referencing that, and they're talking about this like city of evil that
a city of evil.
Yeah, where like all like the sinners go and whatnot, and then they basically say like, well that's where we want to be because like we don't believe in God or whatever and whatever. It's pretty good though. I mean, showcased in this song is the arpeggiated guitars.
Oh yeah, especially during that chorus.
Yeah, which come back throughout the entire album. So I'll move on to track number 2. I do have recommendations, by the way, for this album.
Okay.
And an honorable mention.
Just no ratings.
No ratings, no.
That's what I do for mine also. So we're in the same boat.
I've really gotten away from doing ratings.
Well, me for ones where I don't want to like give 0 stars. Or if every song's going to be 5 stars, I don't do that.
I mean, I wouldn't give any of these 0.
I wouldn't either. I was just making a point.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
We'll see.
But anyway, the next song is called Burn It Down. It's track number 2.
Ooh.
Definitely the same themes melodically and melody musically wise.
Fast drums.
Very much faster. And this is a song about someone who has been wronged and betrayed so many times that they're pissed and they want to like get revenge on that person. And
doesn't he have a good grunt like that in there?
not in this song.
No, he does it. He does it a couple times. I think
in a different one though. Yeah. But I mean, I like that song.
Yeah.
As we go on to track number 3, called "Blinded in Chains."
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, not "Binded in Chains," "Blinded in Chains."
Yes.
This song is even faster.
Mm-hmm.
I read on Wikipedia that their drummer trained up to be able to play at 270 beats per minute, or something
the
like
Rev.
that. Is that what his name is? The Rev?
It was Jimmy something, but he went by the Rev.
Didn't he die?
Yeah, after the next album, he passed away. I think from a accidental overdose.
Yeah, sad.
He had some drug problems, but he was good.
Yeah,
good punk, like a metal take on a punk beat.
Yeah,
in this song.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they were definitely influenced by punk. I don't know if you've ever seen videos, but they've covered Linoleum before and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
No Effects fans and whatnot.
This song, a lot of people think this song is about war, like the Iraq War.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a later song.
I mean, it's at the right time historically.
Yeah, this song is actually just about the quote-unquote war between Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, which is strong as ever still.
Yeah, definitely strong as ever.
Maybe stronger.
Yeah, actually, probably.
Yeah.
It seems a little bit more... Anyway, we won't get into politics.
Yeah. That's not what this podcast is.
There's a... it's definitely not
what is this
podcast
This is Brews and Tunes, not Donkeys and Elephants.
Yeah.
Oh! That'd be a funny one, though.
Donkeys and Elephants?
Yeah. If it was called that and had nothing to do with politics, it was just like a zoo podcast.
A zoo podcast. That's a good idea. Just talk about different exhibits that are at a zoo in the podcast.
Yeah. There's a gorilla. That'd be the whole show.
Episode 1. There's a gorilla.
Yeah.
Over.
All right, that's going to be our spin-off podcast.
Yeah. Except we'll be giving the animals in the zoo beer.
Yeah.
To see what happens.
We'll liberate their palates.
Yeah. And their minds.
Yeah.
Anyway, in this song, there's a solo drum fill that happens. And
is it the kick drum fill?
It's like all the toms and kick drum, yeah.
Okay.
The drums on this album, the way they're produced, I'm not really a fan. They're like really tight and compressed.
Yes.
Which I understand why they did it that way, but it just doesn't...
It's not your aesthetic for drums.
Yeah,
I can see that, yeah. It fits the style of music and like the sound of this album, but...
It sounds... It just sounds a little bit too compressed for me.
Yeah, I could see that.
And also, one thing that I like about their melodic lines is they normally sing like a minor key.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of the times they'll resolve to like a Picardy third to like resolve a melodic line, and it sounds awesome.
Oh yeah, they do a lot of cool. And there's one, I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but one song where like there's a pre-chorus where they go major,
Yeah.
and have this like really cool sounding major part. You're like, where does this come from? And then they go back to the minor in the chorus. You're like, what the?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, their song structures are all pretty complex.
Yeah, they're not simple.
Yeah.
Very different from Blink 182.
Yes.
Much more complex than My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah.
I would argue that their structures are very simple.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
But that's for another time, like in 15 minutes.
Anyway, on to track number 4, which is arguably their most popular song.
Backcountry.
It's Backcountry.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know the inspiration? I'll let you talk about it.
I do know the inspiration, yeah. But anyway, this song showcases his weird style of singing too.
Yes.
Like one of the lines is "Aye, we'll drive all through the night."
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
it's really catchy stuff.
It is.
But it's hard to listen to his voice sometimes. Even though I think he has a very good voice.
He is. You got to get used to it though. It's different.
But anyway, this song is based not even loosely, but on Hunter S. Thompson's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, which was popularized even more by the Johnny Depp movie.
Yes.
I think that beginning little monologue is a direct quote from the book.
Yeah, the beginning is a direct quote. It's they say, "He who makes a beast of himself gets rid of the pain of being a man."
Yes, straight from the book.
Straight from the book, yeah.
And did you see the music video?
No, I did not.
It's like straight from the movie.
Is it really?
Driving around because like
I've seen the movie one time a while ago, and it's a
see him
ride.
like he's like swatting at bats while they're driving in the desert in one scene. It's like we're in backcountry now.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's a really interesting concept for a song. Because you think about that first line, "He who makes a beast of himself gets rid of the pain of being a man."
Yeah.
Like that is so many
Ubermensch.
Ubermensch.
Yes.
Except with drugs.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, this song is basically about like masking the pain of consciousness or being a human being with drugs. Basically.
Yeah, in a city of evil.
In a city of evil, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I also found out that this song was on EA's NHL 2006 soundtrack. The video game.
That probably helped.
The video game, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a weird song to have on a kid's sports game.
They put a lot of weird stuff on kids' sports games.
Yeah, true. But like after learning the meaning of the song, I was like,
yeah.
I'm sure no kid would understand though. They'd
Probably
just
not.
be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah."
I mean, I heard this song when I was in middle school just because the music video. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I do remember the music video. There was a lot of, it was in Vegas, and I think there was a lot of busty girls in low-cut outfits. I was like, whoa.
It's like, oh, okay. That is one that I recommend, though.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Very good song. On to track number 5. That's called Trashed and Scattered.
Trashed and scattered again. I'm dying so low.
Yeah. This is my honorable mention. I have a guess to what this song is about, and I think it is talking about like critics and fans who are mad at them or something like that.
Could be. Very well could be.
Not exactly sure if that's right. But this is the one where he has the grunt, like the
play your games. Yeah. After that long, fast. Yes. That's where it is.
Yeah, it's I think that's
after
really,
that real
really
like a real thrashy step down.
Yeah, I think that's really catchy.
Yeah,
I really like that part. On to track number 6, which is my next recommendation.
Ooh,
it's called "Seize the Day."
A little slower, more ballady.
A little slower, definitely more of a ballad. It's acoustic driven until the bridge.
Yeah,
where they break out the solo. And this
I think I can still play the solo on the guitar.
Really?
It's the only Avenged Sevenfold solo I can ever learn.
It is much slower.
Yes. There's no like fast shredding lines.
There's no fast arpeggiating guitar lines.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, this is a song. The first line of the song really sums up what the whole song is about. Seize the day or die regretting the time you lost.
Yeah. Easy sentiment that can be relatable to anyone, pretty much.
Yeah, what is the phrase? Carpe
diem.
Carpe diem?
Seize the day.
Seize the day, yeah.
Carpe diem.
The music video for this song shows a story between a man and a woman who are like having a child together.
Yeah.
And then the guy goes off to rob a gas station or something.
Goes to jail.
Gets put in jail, and then the woman's real mad, and she's like visiting him in jail. And then whenever she leaves, she gets hit by a car and dies.
And he can't go to her funeral.
Yeah, because he's in jail. And he's just so it's like, man, we should
melodramatic.
Yeah, it was very, very dramatic.
Yeah, but that's the band.
Yeah, definitely. Very good song.
What I think is interesting, a side note, is like their singer, like he always like in the videos has like weird makeup and always kind of looks crazy. But I've seen him in interviews where he's just like wearing a sweatshirt, like a hoodie and a hat.
Yeah,
he's got a scraggly beard and he's like super soft spoken, like really rational dude.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, it's kind of like this doesn't seem like the guy who's the lead singer in this band. And I've seen him live. He puts on such a persona when he's performing. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure he's like doesn't really like to be in the limelight, I would assume.
No, doesn't seem like it.
Does any like big singer like to be in the limelight?
Axl Rose probably
Some people, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that's a really great song. Just how they structure the song.
Yeah.
It's a very the classic. You get a peak 3/4 of the way through the song.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a classic.
Good radio hit.
Yeah, definitely. It's really, really good though. On to I recommend that song. I already said that.
So you've done that in Backcountry.
Yeah.
Both good choices.
On to track number 7, which is my third recommendation.
Whoa.
It's called Sidewinder. And it is a song sung from the perspective of a sidewinder, which is a snake.
Those ones in the desert.
Yeah, the very venomous snake.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It's the point of view from a snake. But I guess like there could be a metaphor for like people who are
in the desert.
People who are generally like volatile towards other people or something like that. This song, the beginning is like a real rager. Like this is the yeah, that's the beginning of the song.
I love that beginning.
And then it's like and it also has a really cool outro where it goes into like this almost like Spanish style guitar feel,
more flamenco than mariachi.
Yeah, flamenco. Yeah, that's what I meant, flamenco.
Yeah.
But it's really cool, and like they're like dueling guitars, and if you're listening with headphones, you can. It
sounds really cool.
It's like diddle-oo, 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 in like the right and left of your headphones. It sounds really cool.
It's where the arrangement shines.
Yes. On to track number 8, or as Americans say, 8. Or even if you're from Britain, you say 8.
8.
8.
I ate a sandwich.
8, mate. Anyway, the track number 8 is called The Wicked End.
Yeah.
The song is about how mankind is becoming more and more corrupt as time goes on.
Yep.
And in this song, they kind of showcase some more classical sounding music too. In the bridge, there's like an instrumental bridge.
Yeah,
it almost sounds like it's straight out of a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, it gets odd.
It gets really like dark and ominous and like a lot of
yeah. It fits in with the time. This is when like scene kids and Hot Topic and emo and like gothy things were all kind of fashion trends.
Yeah.
So Tim Burton was huge. I bet you these guys watch Tim Burton films.
Yeah, and in like a lot of in their music videos that I watched, they all like wore eye makeup. And, like, had like
very heavily
really dark black hair and like streams of hair going down their face and whatnot.
Scene kids.
Yeah,
they all look like more hipsters now, I think.
Oh, really?
And Brooks Wackerman, the ex-drummer from Bad Religion, is now their drummer.
Yeah,
crazy.
I remember you telling me that. It makes sense though. I mean, like
more exciting.
Yeah.
And
it's probably a nice change for him.
Their most recent album is like a prog rock album. Like
I should listen to it.
Crazy. Yeah.
Anyway, that song's pretty good, and a lot of more of the same. A lot of arpeggiated guitar lines and flowing, dramatic vocal melodies.
Yep.
On to track number 9, which this is the song that is almost like a little play within the, or I'll say a mini musical within the album.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, it has like a Wild West, like old Western type sound to it. I don't know if you remember how the song sounds too much, but
No, I do.
it definitely does. Like, it's really weird.
And in the intro, how it comes in, too.
In the intro, yeah. There's like those one, those one clamshells.
Yeah. Like a shootout's about to happen. Or you're walking into a saloon.
But yeah, that's basically what the whole story of this musical is.
Musical.
Yeah, it's a musical. It's
Yeah.
not a song. It's about the story starts off with a man who his entire family has been recently murdered, and he's on the run from the outlaws that murdered them. So it's kind of just his tale throughout that whole storyline. It's really good though, and so he's like trying to get revenge on them, and they also kind of have like a religious note to it where the guy asks like, I wonder like how God would view my vengeance, if he would view it as just or whatever. But anyway, that's a really good song. It was called, did I say what it's called? It's called Strength of the World.
You did.
And the chorus is, Strength of the world is on my shoulders.
Yeah, I like the song, but I really don't care for the chorus.
I send my veins.
Yeah.
Is on my side.
Okay. Yeah, that was probably one of my least favorite choruses on the album.
Yeah. It's weird, but I mean, I don't really mind it. On track number 10, this song is a tribute. It's called Betrayed.
Yeah.
And it's a tribute to Dimebag.
Dimebag
Quote,
Darrell.
unquote, yeah, Dimebag Darrell Abbott, the guitarist for the band Pantera.
Yeah, he was, you know how he died?
Yeah, a fan murdered him.
Shot him on stage.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Super crazy. So that happened in 2004. So this album came out in 2005. So they wrote a tribute song to him. That's what that song's about. And on to the last song. It's called MIA.
MIA.
This song is the song about the war in Iraq.
Yes.
And basically, in some interview,
It's a long song too, right?
It is. It's like
nine something
minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, in an interview, M. Shadow said that the band's not political in any way. This is just a song about what people in our lives are experiencing because of the war.
Yeah.
So
it affected everybody.
Yeah.
For sure.
So that was the last song. All in all, I liked the album. I'm not sure if I'll come back to it anytime soon.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check out their newest album and see if I like that.
You might like that because it's definitely different. I think it's a concept album about artificial intelligence a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So it's different.
But the last thing I'll say is that my bias towards Avenged Sevenfold is no more.
Yeah.
I definitely understand why people like them, and I'll definitely check more of their stuff out.
Yeah. Well, that's the goal of this podcast.
It is expanding musical horizons.
Yeah. Especially when you don't like a band at first.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a very, very different band. My Bloody Valentine's 1991 release. Good year.
Good year.
Loveless.
Good year.
Not to be confused with the metal band Bullet for My Valentine. They're very different. Also,
Yes,
not to be confused with the unrelated 1981 horror film My Bloody Valentine.
Yes.
And its subsequent, I think, 2010 remake.
Yeah, wasn't it like 2013?
No, I was in high school when it came out. I know that.
High school when it came out?
Yeah, I was definitely in high school, but it was 2009 or 2010.
Yeah. I remember when that came out.
It wasn't that good. But it was in 3D. That was like the craze when all those movies were 3D.
That was in high school, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, it was weird.
Ugh.
Anyways, this band was formed in Dublin in
Ireland.
1983. And they gained some traction, some ground after releasing 3 EPs and a full length. And that kind of led them up to this album. But their genre is hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, it's like it has like multiple different names, doesn't it?
If I had to if the first time I listened to them, I was like, I guess this is noise rock
Or like new wave or something like that.
I wouldn't say new wave. But my first instinct was to say noise rock, like experimental noise rock, maybe.
Yeah.
It's very unique, but apparently it led to the creation of what's called shoegaze or shoegazing.
Yeah, shoegazing. Yep.
Critics, I guess, called it that because the people on stage were like looking at their feet a lot,
their shoes a lot.
They're for guitar pedals or like feeling the music.
That's pretty funny.
I think that's why. Here's what Wikipedia defines shoegazing as. It is a subgenre of indie and alternative rock that emerged in the United Kingdom in the late 1980s. It is characterized by its ethereal-sounding mixture of obscured vocals, guitar distortion and effects, feedback, and overwhelming volume.
Yeah.
That description is this album entirely. Yeah. It's spot on.
It'd be really cool to see this type of music live, I think.
It'd
be really interesting.
I think they put a lot into the production for this.
Yeah.
Anyways, at the beginning of 1989, that's when the band set to record the album.
Okay.
So February of 1989. It wasn't released until September 1991.
Wow. Long time.
Over 2.5 years, which is crazy. The band, which pretty much like the creative force, dictator, whatever you want to call him, the guitarist and songwriter Kevin Shields, nitpicked, and they took so much control that it took so long. They moved through multiple studios, well over a dozen different producers because they weren't satisfied with people.
Wow.
And they nearly bankrupt the label, doing this whole thing.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's absurd. But after that whole mess of the production, the album came out to critical acclaim, but it was a real slow burn commercially. People kind of took their time. They mulled it over. People eventually listened to it a lot, and then it turned out it was one of the most influential music releases of the 90s and influenced tons of bands like The Cure, Smashing Pumpkins, Radioheads, and a ton of other ones. You can definitely hear how this went into the grunge movement. Yeah. Definitely Nirvana had influence, but they did too.
Yeah.
I don't know much about dream pop, I think is what they call it, or shoegazing, but apparently they started the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned that Kevin Shields was picking control, but I downplayed that a little bit.
Okay.
He recorded every instrument himself.
Really?
Other than the drums on, I think, 2 songs. And there's one song he didn't do anything on. It was the third song called Touched.
Okay.
Their drummer did that himself. But
wow, that's so crazy.
Kevin Shields did everything.
Wow. Control freak.
Yeah, a little bit. And he didn't sing. It was a girl. Melinda Busher.
Dang,
was her
that's
name.
pretty
But
crazy.
he did everything. He knew what he wanted sound-wise, and he wanted it that way.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was an article on Wikipedia, but it said somewhere that he made the producers know that they were essentially there just to push buttons, which is kind of funny.
Whoa, yeah, it's pretty funny.
But sometimes traditionally a producer will have some kind of creative input.
Yeah.
Not here.
Nope.
At all. But it's kind of crazy. Touching upon the sound a little bit more, it's odd, very noisy, especially if you've never heard anything like this.
Definitely, yeah.
It almost sounds random at first.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was random, but the more you listen, the less random it sounds.
Yeah, it's definitely not random, yeah.
There's so many noises going on and just weird layers and all kinds of crazy stuff. And you kind of get used to the abrasiveness and the repetitiveness.
Yeah.
Eventually, it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make sense to me at first.
That's what happened for me. The first time I heard it was actually at Russ's tattoo shop, his new one in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. Go check him out, Russ. He's awesome.
Russ Hickman. A Quill.
Yeah,
the Quill
at Russ Tattoos on Instagram.
Check him out.
But anyway, the first time I heard it there, he was going through the top 20 stoner albums according to Rolling Stone or something like that.
I could see this being one, yeah.
And this was on there, and I was like, I kind of like this. This is nice.
When I first heard it, I was like, I hate this a lot.
Yeah.
I had to listen, you had to listen to Avenged Sevenfold a ton. I had to listen to this a ton. On this album, there's a guitar technique called glide guitar. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Not necessarily that.
Not like gliding with a slide or something like that?
I don't know if it was invented by Kevin Shields, but he definitely used it. It's where you're strumming a lot while you hold the whammy bar.
Oh, okay.
So the guitar goes in and out of tune, and it almost sounds out of tune in certain places. Sometimes it just sounds funky.
Interesting.
So a lot of people thought he used a ton of effects, a lot of reverb, a lot of chorus. Not the case.
Huh.
It was that style.
He used some, though, I would assume.
Probably some, but not as much. It sounds like he uses a lot. He really
sounds
like
doesn't. He almost has a tremolo on everything.
It's not, though. It's
interesting.
That holding the whammy. It's called glide guitar.
That's interesting.
Very, very interesting, and it sounds odd. There's lots of samples on this album. I don't really know where they are, but they're all over the place. Lots of drones, ambient noises. all kinds of stuff. And the singer Belinda Butcher, she gets buried a lot, like her voice in the mix.
And that's probably intentional.
I think it's intentional. Well, it's either they turn her voice down or there's just so much going on that you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Probably a combination of both.
Well, obviously it's intentional because he produced.
Yeah. He
wanted
it that way.
He had all control over it.
But because you can't really hear the words she says, I'm not going to touch upon the lyrics.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
I read them all and you can make sense of them. There's a lot of relationship stuff.
It's more like if you just like literally just listen to the album, it's more like
yes.
Like it's more
It's a
like
melodic
you're just kind of
tool,
listening to
kind of like Radiohead almost.
Yeah, and a lot of their songs, yeah.
Yeah, so I looked up the lyrics. I think they're important. I think they're trying to convey a message.
Well, if they are important enough to mention, then mention them.
Yeah, I'm not going to at all because I don't think they're important to the album at least. And one more thing, the album art. I didn't come up with this conclusion myself. I heard some other people reviews. The first one I listened to was there's this YouTube reviewer called Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd. He's got a channel called the Needle Drop, and he reviewed this album, and he talked about the cover and how that is a perfect conveying of their sound.
Yeah,
like
makes
it's
sense.
a picture of a guitar with all this pink and red lighting, and it's so like obscured that like you don't know what you're seeing at first. It's odd, it's hazy, and you look hard enough, and you're like, oh, that's a guitar. This is music.
Yeah,
and that's their sound, right? It's a perfect album cover.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah,
it's spot on. Now, having said all this, I'm going to just reiterate: this was one of the hardest albums to get into.
Really?
Almost Animal Collective level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, get ready for when I re-recommend Animal Collective.
Oh, God. I hope not. So let's just see how this goes, shall we?
Okay, we shall, yeah.
All right. The first song is called Only Shadow. It's my first recommendation.
Only Shallow?
Yes. Only Shallow. I don't know if it's Shadow.
Because of M Shadow.
Probably. But this is my first recommendation, and it's
Great
my
song.
favorite song on the record.
Fantastic song, yeah.
This was the only song I liked on the first listen.
Oh, okay, wow.
Like,
yeah,
I listened to it, and I was like, because I remember you played some in the car, and I wasn't really paying too much attention. I was just like, oh, it's not bad. When I sat down to listen to it, and I heard this song, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good album.
And then the rest of it
happened.
wasn't as catchy. Yeah. Because
this-
that is one of the catchiest songs.
This
on
is.
the
It's,
album,
it's more of a mainstream sound. It's not as abrasive, even though it comes in and it punches you in the face.
Yeah.
It's more heavy than the rest of the album, I think.
Yeah.
Once the verses hit, and you got that pulsing drums, the do 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 ka do 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 ka, and the vocals, na 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 da 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 da. It's like a real good like driving melody, and it doesn't really go anywhere, but it doesn't need to.
Yeah, none of these songs go anywhere. Really.
None of them do.
It's almost like they created a bunch of loops and then layered them all together to create a song.
Correct.
Yeah.
But mentioning the drums that I did before, this was one of the few songs that was an actual acoustic drum played. Most of the other songs are programmed.
Okay.
By Kevin Shields.
Yeah.
And he prides himself on saying you probably can't hear the difference. And it's true. I've tried to listen.
I never knew.
I listen to the other songs.
And
You can't tell. But it's pretty kind of interesting. The vocals are really, really soft. Like the first time I heard this was my first introduction to her vocals. And I almost thought it was a guy at first.
Yeah.
Kind of like, have you ever heard the Silver Sun pickups?
Yep. Yeah. Sounds like a girl.
Almost like that kind of timbre.
Mm-hmm.
Slightly with a less abrasive Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
It's a weird timbre because she's singing in this lower female register, and it's buried and it's kind of smooth and it's like so like wavy and like smooth sounding.
She's like
it's
a
odd.
contra alto or something like that.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Singing in that register.
Yeah. And this song really doesn't have a chorus. And I guess I should just say most songs don't have a chorus on this album. Just a bunch of verses kind of put together. It doesn't really have a vocal refrain either. I guess you could say that as a chorus, but that's kind of the trend going forward. Moving on to track number 2, which is called Loomer. This is a big change, I think, from the previous track in the way that it's less mainstream. But I think it fits more in with the sound of the rest of the album. I mean, the first song fits in with the rest of the album, but this one more so. It's doesn't have much percussion. Like there's not really much drums, but the guitar is just like doof, 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 doof. It's like the strumming is just like all like downbeats. It sounds like down strums. So I would say that's more percussive than the actual percussive instruments on this song. Probably a choice. I don't know. If you take 2.5 years to record, I'm sure everything's a choice.
Yeah. I would hope that everything's a choice. I'm sure he wasn't just like, oh, I played it that way that time, whatever.
Yeah. This song, since it's less mainstreamy or catchy than the first song, is really the first song where you kind of... It's less of like a songy song and more of a mood or feeling.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the goal with most of the album.
Yes.
Right? Like you kind of get a general
the sounds
feeling
and noises, like it clicked for me when I like closed my eyes.
Yeah.
And like these big layers and sounds and noises kind of just like encompass you and surround you. And if you get a really good stereo speakers or a set of headphones and you close your eyes and listen to it, that's when it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if you already touched on this song, but the song that has like this one line that's like droning where it goes do it do 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 it do 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 it do 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 it do do. That song.
Yeah.
That song is where it clicked for me.
Okay,
and I think on that first listen when I was getting tattooed, I had my eyes closed. Probably.
I think that's the way you have to listen to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's how the rest of the album goes, pretty much. Other than that, like as a song, not my favorite.
Yeah.
But as that experience of like listening to it for what it is, it's good.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next song called Touched. This song I don't think... Maybe it doesn't belong on the album. I don't know. Some people love this song. It's not my favorite. It's the only song that was written and recorded entirely by that other band member. His name is, and I'm going to butcher this, Kolm O Koyesog.
Let me see it.
It starts off right here. You see Kolm?
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird accent marks.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. Kolm. That's probably right.
It's from Ireland.
A Kaisag.
So it's
a Kaisag.
Yeah, so
maybe.
It's a what's their dialect, like the
call them a Kaisag.
Irish has the
there's Northern Ireland and then there's Irish.
I can't remember what that accent's called though, but it's real like traditional looking.
Yeah, it does.
But it's like really the song's really synthy.
Yeah,
it's really different sounding. And it's an instrumental. It's the only instrumental. It's relatively short.
It is very short. Yeah.
The only reason why
long.
Yeah, the only reason why I wouldn't give this 0 stars is there's one little part in the background that sounds like the melodic motif from the song I Only Said, which comes later.
Oh, okay.
It's that line that's like doo 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 doo, and that comes up later in I Only Said.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, let's move on because I don't really care for Touched.
Okay,
it didn't touch me.
It didn't touch me.
It's touched a lot of people, so it's done its job, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Track number 4 is called To Hear Knows When. This resumes the sound established by Loomer, like much of the rest of the album.
Yeah.
There's not much percussion in this song, not much melody. Again, it's much more about that experience, closing your eyes, letting the layers wash over you.
Yeah, for sure.
My favorite part is the last 45 seconds when the song fades out, and there's like this guitar part comes in. It's like really kind of muffled and quiet. It's like this really cool guitar progression. It sounds like there might be some percussion in the background of that, but it sounded really cool and promising. I almost wish they expanded that into its own song, but there's got to be some reason they put it there. I don't know why, but it's cool.
That leads into
track number 5, which is called When You Sleep.
Which is one of the most catchy songs, in my opinion.
In Jesse's opinion. It's I think it's one of 2 songs that have the big musical motifs.
Yeah.
Which is the line da 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 da. Very nice. That repeats over and over again. I don't know what instruments played
catchy.
on, a synth or a weird guitar. I don't know.
It sounds like a synth to me. It sounds like they'd use that one, like knob on synths, where it was like you play the note,
pitch
it's like
bend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a very, very much reoccurring motif that pops up, and it kind of goes that melody motif, verse, melody motif, verse, and that's the structure to me over and over again.
Yeah,
and it's catchy and it's good, but I think it goes on a little too long.
I see. I always just look forward to that. The do. I always look forward to that coming back.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice, but I think it goes on a long time.
And this is one of the songs where you can kind of hear what she's saying too.
Yes, I think her vocals are much more up in the mix.
When I look at you, da 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 da.
Shibbity beep boop doo.
Shibbity beep boop down. But anyway, yeah.
It's a very popular one, and so is the next one. Track number 6 is called "I Only Said."
Yeah,
I think it sounds very similar in the fact that it has that musical motif, probably on that same instrument that you were saying, maybe the keyboard with the tone pitch knob,
maybe,
and it has that same structure where it's musical motif versed with lyrics, musical, and it goes back and forth. But this one goes on too long. It's 5.5 minutes.
Yeah,
but it's fine. I think these two songs are kind of like a pair in how they sound and how they're structured.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's why they're put back to back very intentionally. Moving on to track number 7, which is my next recommendation. It's called "Comin' Alone." Unlike the last two songs, I think the vocal melody is the motif, the shining star for me.
The driving force.
Yes. It's slower, a little bit more chill than the previous two. But I think the lead musical motif from the vocal melody is on point, or as we would say, on fleek. Gotta bring it back.
Is that what people say now?
Well, they said that a couple years ago.
Wasn't that 2 years ago when we started this podcast?
Yeah, about eyebrows, I think is what it was initially about.
On fleek. Yo, your eyebrows are on fleek today, girl.
But the melody sounds like it could come from like a mainstream pop song. It's a really cool melody.
Yeah.
And again, this is a long song, but I don't really care because I like how that melody sounds.
Okay.
Moving on to track number 8, which is my honorable mention. It's called Sometimes.
Sometimes.
This fits in with the sound of the album, but I think it's an outlier. It only sounds like it's just the vocals and guitar. If you listen closely, there's definitely more instruments going.
Yeah.
But it's not like just a cleaning guitar. It's a very, very distorted and processed heavy guitar. But like the melody is so like nice. You could almost see this played around a campfire acoustically. It's weird and different, and it's like really like moody and melancholy sounding, like almost a little haunting, but it's really cool how it's set up. It's kind of like a little resting point in the middle of the album, I'd say.
Okay.
I think it's different enough and it's really cool sounding, worth checking out. That's why I honorably mentioned it.
Nice.
Moving on to track number 9, which is called "Blown a Wish." Weird title. Like, I don't know if it's like instead of blown a kiss,
someone has blown you a wish.
or if they, by blowing it, they've ruined it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I blew it. Did they blow a wish?
I blew that wish, man.
But since I'm not talking about lyrics, who cares? This gets back to the full band sound, but still a little bit more chill. It's got some weird vibes. I say it's sad but glittery.
Sad but glittery.
Which is really odd when you think about its little juxtaposition. Yes. Juxtaposed.
What did you just try to say?
I tried to say juxtaposed, but I got caught up.
Oh.
But when you listen to it, I think you'll know what I mean. It's real glittery at first, and then it kind of gets into this like sad sounding stuff.
Yeah.
Really interesting. But it's cool. It's again back where you listen to just the sounds and let them wash over you. Close your eyes and experience it. Or I guess you could keep your eyes open and gaze at your shoes. Oh.
You tried.
I tried. That's me trying to do my oh.
That sounded like a dog's howl.
Yeah, my voice is not cooperating right now.
No.
Let's move on to the penultimate track, which is called "What You Want." Baby, I got it. What you need.
You know I got it.
This is no Aretha Franklin song. This is My Bloody Valentine.
For a little respect.
This is faster than many of the previous songs. Like they're putting that real fast one at the second to last song.
Yep.
It fits in with like a 90s grunge sound. So it's less of that like big noise wall sound, even though it's definitely still present. It sounds a little bit more mainstream than the rest of the album, but I wouldn't say it's a mainstream song for sure.
Okay.
It's definitely a sound that you probably wouldn't hear on the radio for like another 4 or 5 years after this one was released.
Yeah.
They were ahead of their time for sure. Doesn't really go anywhere though, so it's a song to experience, not a song to jam to, in my opinion.
Okay.
Moving on to the last song, which is my last recommendation. This song is called "Soon."
Soon. Yeah.
This has a nice build up. It kind of starts off with that like drum beat at first.
Yeah.
And then the driving guitars, the like, and then the and like before I knew they were British.
Yeah.
This song reminded me of like a football game, like a soccer game.
Really? Like a soccer game? Huh?
Yeah, I don't know why it had like a British vibe to it.
Huh.
I don't know why. It's just what I thought of. It's one of the most upbeat sounding songs on the record.
Yeah.
If you look at the lyrics, it's not. But since I'm not touching upon them, who cares? But the sound wise, it is super upbeat. Like you can like tap your fingers, bob your head. Heck, you could even dance to it.
Whoa.
Not to go out like I don't want to be too bold, but you can dance.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, not only can you tap your fingers,
you can dance.
Is that what you said? You can snap your fingers too.
Yeah.
If you want to do that too, or slap your knees, slap some spoons up on your knees.
Maybe that's a weird thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's like weird country bluegrass. Hi diddle diddle doo. That's your song.
Yeah.
This song is almost 7 minutes long. It's like 2 seconds shy of it. It's like 6:58.
I'm surprised that you recommended it then.
Well, it's so long, but it's a really fun song.
Yeah.
It's so upbeat and catchy. Like on some of the other songs, like those ones with the melodic motifs, like what were they called? When You Sleep or I Only Said.
Yeah.
They seem to go on too long, even though they're shorter. This one, it's so fun.
Yeah.
I can get past it. Like, I get by it. I'm like, oh, we're 7 minutes in. I didn't even realize. I've been dancing. All in all, it's a very weird, unique album.
Very much so.
I wouldn't say it's like the best album ever. I think it's a very important album. It shaped music to come.
Yeah.
It influenced so many bands. If you wouldn't have recommended, I probably would have never heard of this album. Like I've heard of the band before. I may have never listened. And even after our first listen, like if I just stumbled upon it, I'd be like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have
you would have just shrugged it off.
I'm glad that I forced myself to come back again.
I mean, I definitely would have shrugged off Avenged Sevenfold too.
Yeah. So this, we're both in the same boat. They've got some other stuff. I might actually check some more stuff out. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I definitely respect what they did. They were groundbreakers for sure. Yeah. Very interesting. Not my aesthetic or cup of tea, but it grew on me for sure.
We're definitely in the same boat then.
Yeah. Oh shizzle, my nizzle, extra salt on the grizzle.
Before we say what's happening next week, let's finish our beers.
Yeah, well,
or should we say what's happening next week first?
Yes.
Okay.
Next week we're doing another one-off. We're going to be reviewing the most recent album by America's and the world's favorite band, Blink-182.
9.
The album's called 9. Jesse's correct.
Do you think that they named it that because they said, 8 plus 2 is 10, minus 1 is 9?
No, I think they were like, we've released 9 albums. This will be our 9th album. We've had 8 so far.
Aren't people like, wow, this is only their 8th album?
Because people aren't counting Buddha.
Yeah.
Buddha's an album. They released it.
Some people are not fans like you, Steve.
Well, also, they re-released it and then re-recorded 2 songs for another album. Who cares?
Okay.
Who cares?
Who cares? It's their 9th album.
Bad Religion has re-recorded songs. So many bands have.
Yeah.
You're being stupid, people. Switchfoot did.
Yeah, Switchfoot did.
The biggest song.
Yeah.
Would you say it's their biggest song?
What biggest
Dare You
song?
to Move?
Yeah. 100%.
I would too. They re-recorded that.
100% their biggest song. Yep.
Good thing they did too.
Yeah, the new version is much better.
Yeah, but they're both good. Anyway, that's what we're doing next week. If you want to recommend an album for us to listen to, let us know. If you want to send us hate, love, just what's
Mail.
up, just send us anything. You can look us up on social media at American Brews and Tunes, or send us an email at americanbrewsandtunes@gmail.com. Just let us know. We're always available and whatnot.
And whatnot. I mean, who's not available now that social media exists?
Nobody. Everybody's always accessible at all times. You're right. You're very right. Anyways, let's say our phrase and finish our beer, shall we?
Let's do that.
Now. One more time, down the low register note hatch. Thanks for joining us on a fun episode number 84. My name is Steven Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
And this is American Brews and Tunes.
American Brews and Tunes.
Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American brews and tunes. Shibbity beeby da.